Hey guys, it's JP Fluellen with another episode of Getting Real in the Field. And this is the show where we talk about all the things that you hate to do, which is following up, calling customers, and staying in contact with all of your clients, past, present, and even in the future. So today we're got your host, Keck Tay and JP Fluellen. Oh, I didn't so close. So close. All right. Well, we'll throw that in post-production.
Okay.
So so today we're going to talk about what does the future of real estate commissions look like? And
ooh, that's a really good one. That's a heavy and meaty one.
I know. It's, I mean, if you're working at a traditional brokerage, which I mean is old school brick and mortar, you've got a broker in house, you've got a lot of fees, you got desk fees, you got, office fees, you got advertising fees, you got special advertising fees, you got key fees, working fees, walking fees, talking fees, advertising, printing, all the things, and then on top of that, you got other companies trying to stick their hands in your pockets too. I mean, it gets to the point where, if the future of the real estate business starts to shift, which we're already starting to see that, it's like, the national average is only like 48,000 for a real estate agent. So, I mean, yeah, I just did a post on my Facebook that talked about
48,000 gross.
I don't remember if it said GCI or if it was after taxes, but I think it was gross commission income.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like, what was it? 8 deals a year.
Yeah.
Average.
You got to work doubly hard. Well, depends on what market too, right? If you've got if you're up in our neck of the woods, then like Seattle, average home price is like, close to $1 million now.
Yeah.
And a lot of neighborhoods are past $1 million. Your 8 transactions could mean, pretty good money.
Oh yeah. This guy I was talking to, his average in California was 1.2 million. He does 8 deals a year and he's living in Cabo half the time,
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is relative in that sense. However, I think units are units. And I think if an agent, is really pushing it and working their business, there's no reason why you can't do 20 deals a year on average. I don't care where you live.
True.
And I don't care how saturated your market is. If you're not doing 20 deals a year, you're in this like little comfortable space, or you're doing it part-time, or it's a hobby for you.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Actually, I was sidebar topic, but I was just talking to an agent and you absolutely it seems overwhelming if you're doing like 6 to 8 transactions right now. I was just talking to one of my clients who's an agent in Texas, and he was using our system, and he was basically he used to do a lot of calling while showing homes, showing homes, and he could only do a way less number. I won't say what his numbers are, but now that he just spends time showing homes, he's crushing it. He said his January is just as busy as it is in his July right now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So back to commission. Sorry.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of companies out there like Open Door, Redfin, companies like that are trying to change the game when it comes to how they're compensating real estate agents. And it's taking some of the salesiness out of, being a real estate salesman, out of the, what makes a good salesperson. And, like in most markets, it's you negotiate your commission with your client. And typically it's the seller that's paying the commission. And sometimes in some interesting scenarios, the buyer will pay commission, or maybe even pay the difference depending on how the deal is structured.
Yeah. Never heard of that one, but okay.
So sometimes like with cash, a cash buyer, you can, essentially if it's an aggressive enough purchase, then, you might be able to negotiate the buyer paying some commission depending on how low you can get the purchase price. But that also gets kind of in the weeds of getting creative with with buying.
Yeah.
And so you see a lot of companies that are doing a salary model and then they pay a bonus. I was listening to another podcast where this gal has been doing this for 10 years. And it's like, what'd she tell me? Or in that podcast, it was like 40,000 a year. And then she bonuses her agents 10% of the commission. So whatever the commission number is, they get 10% of that commission amount. So if it's a 6,000, they get $500 or $600
Yeah.
out of that commission. But if you're a producing agent, you're doing 30, 40 deals, it kind of might even out in the end. But they just really love that, like that comfort. But what comes with that salary is a ridiculous work ethic. Like, you're in the office 8 hours a day, you have a quota, you've got so many calls you have to make, there's so many appointments that you have to go on. So there is a little bit more pressure involved in that. However, I think you'd probably see a lot more productive real estate agents if they were put to the gun like that and said, hey, like, if you want to make good money, you got to put in the work. You got to put in the follow-up. You got to put in the, you got to follow our guaranteed regimen in order to get that guaranteed salary. And, and I don't know that she gave her agents the option to swap out of the salary. I didn't get that far into it. But it's definitely an interesting model. I don't necessarily know that is going to be adopted globally, just because I think most brokerages know their numbers and they know that there's that sweet spot, that 5 to 7 million in production is kind of that sweet spot for agents, especially in companies that have a capping or a capping model.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you want to get them right at that, where they, right at month 11 before it resets, they hit their cap and then it resets again. So that's kind of the sweet spot. Although now with these cloud-based brokerages, like Real, it's more about getting more agents to flat out cap, because our cap is at 3.2 million is when they cap. And so we went through a lot of capping agents.
Can you explain a little bit, like, what's the cap? Like, what's a good cap? What's a crazy cap kind of thing, right? Like, and what should an agent be negotiating for?
So,
and I know it's going to vary by market.
Yeah. So, in a lot of cases, most what I'm seeing is that brokerages don't negotiate unless you're coming in as a high producer already. And you've got a position and say, I've done, I did 50, 60 deals last year, what can you offer me? And it's very interesting because in different regions, the commissions are different. So what I see a lot is, if like on teams, it's 50-50. It's a 50-50 model. That's it. That's our model. Take it or leave it. If you want us to give you leads, it's 50-50. And now if you're a solo agent, I've seen them as high as 90% with no cap. So you're 90% from day one, and then that's it, 90-10. And then I've seen a payout model where a person can come in and just pay 40 grand up front, and then it's 100%.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess, like, there's so many variables. Like, I've heard from so many variables, like, hey, even if I do a split with you, I have to pay the office fees, stuff like that. I'm like, if I was a new agent, I would be lost. you know, of like what's a good deal or not? Like,
Yep.
you know, any guidance or any thoughts on it?
Yeah. So
Besides
in
checking out Real, by the way.
yeah, so right. So ultimately, and I'll be honest with you, if I could have done a do-over and I would have known about capping models, because I didn't know there was cap in my area, capping models were not a thing. So there was not a brokerage that in my area that offered a cap. Now, as you know, as the real estate business progressed, you know, I started becoming aware of capping models. And if you're highly motivated and you know that deep down you're a high producer and maybe
Yeah.
you're brand new and you know that you're like, I'm going to make 100K a year. So it only makes sense for me to have a capping model. So I would seriously consider any brokerage over other brokerages that have a capping model. And the reason is that there's an awareness that happens as you grow your real estate business, that unless the brokerage in that difference between what they're offering and, you know, that split is
Yeah.
really serving some sort of higher purpose outside of just, you know, here's your keys, here's your office. Thank you for being part of our organization. Have a great real estate career. And you know, if they're using that to help you grow your business,
Yeah.
and I mean, like, are they helping you grow your brand? Are they helping you get your name out there? Are they helping you serving your entire, like, your real estate business essentially? Or, you know, from advertising to exposure to social media, you know, to lead generation, are they using those funds to help you grow your business? Then um then a capping model just makes sense, because then I can use my funds, because I know my business, to
Sure.
help grow in that sense. And so, you know, there's so many models out there, and I know that I've heard different models where, you know, well, we have a national advertising campaign, we're spending money on a national level, because the franchise fees in a lot of cases where they'll say, hey, you know, we have a capping structure, but then the franchise fee never goes away. So really you're never going to hit 100%.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, unless you're with a like a larger hyper local brokerage, you're always going to be stuck with that franchise fee no matter what. And at 300, if you're doing 40, 50 deals a year at $300 a pop, you know, that's a lot over
It's a
time.
lot of, yeah. Yep. So, okay. And then what's a good, decent split as a starting agent or a high producer then?
So if you're joining a team, 50-50 is decent, because they're actually supporting your business with that 50%. They're helping
Okay.
you lead gen, they're helping you get your name out there, they're helping you with setting up your social media, they're helping you with ideas on how to gain lead generation. They have the connections, you know, hey, we use this CRM, you guys need to, we can get you plugged in, we're actually going to provide you with a seat on our CRM so it doesn't cost you anything out of pocket. You know, these kinds of benefits are things that are hugely beneficial for an agent. If you're joining a brokerage, you know,
That's a
with
solo, right? You're just talking
as a
about like,
solo agent, in your, if you're brand new as a solo agent, um you know, anything north of 80-20 is great, you know.
wait, so like you get to keep 80%. Okay.
So at
So,
Real we're at 85-15, and we don't shy away from letting people know that. A lot of
wow.
brokerages will be like, well, come talk to us and we'll talk about splits, like, because
Yeah.
they don't want to make it
And in that case, like what services would they provide for 80-20 type? Or are you
Yeah,
kind of on your
so
own?
typically, like, if you can get a CRM with that, if you can get a website, if you can get stock options on a closing, if you're able to get, if you have good culture, technology, direct deposit, all of the things that, that people would expect from joining an organization, then that's great. A lot of times, hyper local, you're paying high splits and you're getting very little of those items.
Gotcha.
Which is so crazy because it's like, there's even like free ones out there. HubSpot, I think, is free. That's a free CRM, but most brokerages are either using, whatever works for you is what works, because there, there's always a story. Oh, well, we used to try to provide that stuff for our agents years ago and they never used it and we spent a lot of money. So we just tell all of our agents, whatever you want to use, as long as it works.
You're on your own.
You're on your own,
I want 20% of your
exactly. Then they'll tell a long story about, well, we've been in the business, we've been hearing, BFE for 30 years and everybody knows our name. And, if you go down to the Cheers bar and, you go down there and, buy somebody a drink, they're going to know our name, and so it's like, all right, well, okay.
Okay. What else from a commission standpoint of view?
So, I mean, the best way to get the most for the amount of effort you're putting in is literally to just provide a level of customer service that's above and beyond your competition. And when you're able to give social proof, and that is with showing posts of past clients that, these are the people that I've worked with in the past, you've created a resume, you come in with, we do 3D tours and you have an iPad that you're showing your client, hey, this is our marketing plan. And it's amazing how many times I've gone into a listing appointment and I said, I can show you CMAs all day long, but are you interviewing other agents that are showing you an actual marketing plan? And almost every time they're like, no. So I'm like, so how are they going to sell your home? And they say, oh, well, our brokerage does blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, but what are you going to do? Like, why am I? Because I'm paying you, and how are you going to get me the most money for my home in the least amount of time, and clients will pay 6-7% for really good service like that. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, that's not customary in our market. And it's like, well, are you asking or are you just defaulting to a certain thing because you're afraid of that no? And so, that's how you preserve how you get paid, is by providing excellent and amazing customer service. And that's the difference, and that's how you're going to preserve your commissions moving into the future, as there's all these other disruptors coming in saying, hey, do this for 1%, or, we'll actually do this for a flat fee, or do this and that and everything else. And really at the end of the day, it always comes back to, what are you paying for?
Yep.
Yeah. And don't be afraid of those no's. Like, I hate it when agents are like, they're like, how did you do that? I said, well, I just asked.
Yeah. And if you don't ask, you will never find out. Right. And that's a really good point. It's like, in terms of commissions with, you heard those 1% commissions, they've come and go. Oh, they still exist, but they have not really stuck around or it made as big an impact. You and I were just talking about that just before this podcast. Like, you've heard of these like big companies like on the market offering the 1%, but it hasn't really disrupted. It made a big splash initially, but it's fizzled.
Mm-hmm. And here's something really crazy that always happens. Well, there's two things. Number one is when you become the agent that discounts your service, then it's almost impossible to reverse it once you become that agent.
That's true.
Number two is that even though you have let your client know that for this percentage, these are the XYZ services that you get, as soon as you sign, Now they expect all the services, even though you said, oh, we don't do that. Well, so-and-so said they would do it. Yeah, well, so-and-so's charging XYZ and you wanted this. Yeah, but I understand. But you know what? I need to call you on, on Sunday at 9 p.m. because I've got a problem, and
Yep.
I need you to be available 24/7. And, it's all of the things, it's like if you go down to the car dealership and you go buy yourself a jalopy for $200 and then everything starts falling apart. You're like, you sold me a POS, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you do know you bought a $200 car, right? And they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, but, we at least expected all the things,
Like
and
to drive like a Rolls Royce.
exactly. And
Yeah.
it's expected that there's just like this certain level of expectation, even though like you're paying for a different level of expectation.
Yeah.
And so you really just have to, it's better to just be like, you know what, this is our suite of services, and this is what we're going to provide. One more caveat to that too is another way to preserve your value is ancillary businesses. So if a real estate agent has insurance or they're affiliated with an insurance company or a mortgage company or a title company and all those other things, to where, there's speculation out there that someday, real estate brokerages will actually not take anything from their agents and just have ancillary businesses so that the agent gets to keep everything. And the ancillary business pays all the commissions back to the owner of those brokerages.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, cool. Anything else that we're missing? I mean, this is good. Like, talking about from commission splits tonight to even like try to uphold and preserve the value of the commission from, with your clients as well too. I think this is great.
Yeah, I think ultimately at the end of the day, this is a people business. We can automate as much as we can. But you can never, it's hard to express empathy and compassion and happiness to your clients through automation. So there's always going to have that human element. And as much as, we want to keep things as streamlined as possible and as easy as possible, we still have to remember that we're dealing with human beings here. And at the end of the day, like, I've had clients that, have given me hugs at closings, because they were just so happy that I was like available for them. And they were just like, oh my gosh, JP, thank you so much. Oh, we would have never been able to buy a house if you had not been there for us. You went to bat for us. You got us several options in terms of lending options and, even when times were tough. I mean, I had a client that I've worked with for 7 years before she finally bought a house.
Are you serious?
I am
Wow.
not joking. And she's like, JP, I think we figured it out. I think we're good to go. And now she's buying new construction. So,
wow.
Yeah. So it was pretty wild.
I saw the testimony of the one that you helped with, like a single mother with like investing. I thought that was a great story.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So nice work, man. Nice work.
Thank you. Yeah, we hear those stories all the time where we bought our first house and then we're like, I need, I see what you guys are doing in the real estate investing space, and we want to go take it to the next level.
Yep.
And so we've actually we're doing dinner with one of my past clients because they're on their third investment property now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, okay. So there you go, folks. Do not give up your commission, but provide great service, right? Because it's all this stuff that you're hearing about JP that he's done for his clients. That's what's going to help you keep your commission rate at a higher rate.
And it's actually one of our core values at Real is simply great service is one of our core values.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Awesome.
Well, that's a wrap with another episode of Getting Real in the Field. So if anybody wants to get a hold of you, Keck, over there at Field Notes, how can they get a hold of you?
They can come and give me a call. It's at 425-740-0260, or they can check us out on FieldnotesAi. And you.
Awesome. And you guys can get a hold of me. You can just text me or call 307-772-1184, or you can reach out to me at www.titanreteam.com. And, or you can DM me on Instagram at JP_Fluellen, or you can reach me on my other YouTube channel, JP Fluellen, or you can just Google me in the Google machine and just type in JP Fluellen. That's F-L-U-E-L-L-E-N. And so if you guys like what you're hearing in this content, make sure you smash that subscribe button, hit that alert, because we do these videos each and every week. And we love answering questions and talking about all the things that people are like, you can't talk about that in public, all of those things, because, one of the things, it's like, religion, politics, and commission splits, people don't like talk about that stuff in a room. And so, yeah, make sure you guys make your comments and share this stuff, because we love doing the things that we do here. So
Awesome.
That's another episode of Getting Real in the Field. We'll catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.
Peace.